I've started having symptoms of being sick and possible COVID. I've been really just wanting to pick up like a regular sized novel. My brain was still mush. Sorry about my weird bookmarks. I couldn't find it in my book. I don't even know what you want to call it for 3 pages, but oh, I'm so excited for this book. And then when I thought maybe I was done crying and we were okay, no, it just sucker punched me again, and I just... Hello friends, and welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather, and I'm really excited to be doing a fun new experiment today. Well, actually it's gonna last the entire month of January. It is a few days into January, so I have actually already started this experiment, but I really needed to get you guys an intro going, so here we are. This January, I really have been wanting to get into reading like more short stories, and I also was just kind of curious as to how many books I could read in a month. So I'm going to take the entire month of January, 31 days, and see how many books I can read. So my goal is to try to read about 1 book a day. It may look like 2 books in one day, and then another day maybe I don't have any, but on average I want to end up with 1 book a day, which would be 31 books this month, which will be the most books I've ever read in a month. I think right now the top is like 15 or 16. My other kind of stretch goal is to maybe see if I can get to 40 in a month, so we will see how that goes. Now with this experiment, I did go ahead and I did quite a bit of like researching and planning and thoughts on this, because I wanted to make sure that I would have access to enough books and that kind of a thing, and make sure I had things on hold if they needed to go on hold or whatever with my library. So basically I went into my Goodreads and I sorted by number of pages and went to like least amount of pages and just put a whole bunch of those books, like 50 of those books, into a spreadsheet. And then I went to each of my different library apps and I looked at Hoopla, Libby, getting a physical book from the library. I also looked to see if I could get it through Amazon Prime, and I also had, I think, 1 book on my shelf already. And so I downloaded a few books off of Amazon Prime and started putting a few things on hold on Libby and that kind of thing. So I have like a whole bunch of books that I can read that are quick and short and fun, and we're just gonna go along for the ride. So I will be trying to update you guys every maybe 2 to 3 days on what I've been reading, how far I am, how I'm feeling about the books, as well as how I'm feeling about the reading process. And we'll see if I like reading short stories. We'll see if I crack under the pressure of trying to read all these books. I don't know. We'll see how life goes, and it should be fun and interesting, and I hope you guys will take a moment before we get started to subscribe to my channel, and we'll go ahead and start with the first vlog entry. Okay, it is time for the first update. It is January 2nd, and I am doing really well. I finished 2 books already. I'm about to listen to a 3rd one, but I just wanted to update you guys where I'm at so far. So this morning I finished reading All This Time. I read most of it yesterday and then a little bit this morning. And this one's by Mickey Daughtry and Rachel Lippincott. And let's see, 3 things about this one: car crash and brain injury. There's loss of a loved one, but then also a romance kind of ensues after, and just kind of dealing with that grief. And I gave this one 3 stars. Definitely had some cliche moments and like predictable things where I was like, really? Did we really just go there? Okay, I kind of wanted something a little different than the same old same, but you know, whatever. My niece actually was not planning on reading this book first, actually, at all during this whole challenge, but my niece got this for her Christmas present, and 5 Feet Apart was like one of her favorite books ever this year. She was like, you have to read it, I'm already done. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to read it really fast because that'll make her really happy. So I did, and definitely for her age group more than for my age group. So I could definitely see how she would absolutely love it. I guess I could have grabbed it, but here it is. So, and then I also, last night, I knew I wasn't going to finish that book, and I didn't want to get behind quite yet, so I decided to pick up Mooncakes, and that is a graphic novel by Suzanne Walker. It is magical with a werewolf and a witch and a demon in the forest that they need to use the wolf power to overcome. It's got LGBTQ plus representation, and it was really cute. I gave this one 4 stars. I really liked the art style of this one as well, and it was fun. It had lots of elements I really like. Love magic, witches, all that good stuff. And then I'm about to go and do some dishes and then pack up some stuff in my kitchen so that we can move. And I'm going to listen to, I think it's called Empress of Salt and Sorrow. I can't remember who the author is. I'll definitely have a picture up for you guys. But just wanted to pop in and say I'm doing good. I think I actually might finish this one today as well. So I'll be at 3 books, and it's only the second. So that's awesome. Well, hello guys. It is January 4th, and I'm doing great with my reading. I have finished 1 more book, so I've read 3 so far. It's The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and I actually read this twice. I listened to it twice, because the first time I was like, that was so beautifully written, but I don't fully know what happened and what's going on. And so I was like, it's 2.5 hours. I can finish that pretty quickly if I run through it again. So I decided to listen to it a second time, and I'm really glad I did. This is about an empress. We've got some feminist power going on, definitely, but in like such a subtle way. And oh my gosh, she's just so smart. Like this empress, she's a badass and she's amazing, and you just wouldn't know it. And I really enjoyed her, and I enjoyed her handmaiden. We've got LGBTQ plus representation here as well, and I don't know how to really explain this book, but it was very beautiful. I don't think it'll be for everybody. You have to kind of enjoy that more beautiful writing, but it's metaphorical a little bit, so you have to kind of look at some of the nuances and read between the lines a little bit. But yeah, it was very, very well done, and I definitely want to read the sequel to it. And then I've started 2 other books. So I am reading 1922 by Stephen King, and I'm on page 90 out of 130 and enjoying that quite a bit. Also really enjoying the writing. Stephen King's writing is, he writes really well. He really does. Very detailed, very fleshed out, and I'm enjoying that one right now. It is definitely different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of a haunted house story, and it's not that. But I'll talk more about that when I've actually finished it. And then I'm also listening to The Test by Sylvan Neuvel. And I'll talk more about that when I finished it. I'm an hour into the audiobook, and there's like an hour and 15 minutes left, I think. But basically, we have a gentleman who goes in to take a citizenship test in Britain. And the test is like a 25-question test that we're taking with him. But things definitely take a turn, and the test is much different than just a 25-question test. And I am enjoying that as well. So I'll let you guys know more about those when I've actually finished them. Oh, also Empress of Salt and Fortune. I don't know if I mentioned, but I gave that one 4 stars. So definitely enjoying a lot of my reading right now, actually. So maybe I just need to read more short stories. But I will update you guys soon. Today is going to be a very long day of lots of moving. Honestly, probably this whole week will be a ton of moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, because that's where I'm at right now. So talk to you guys soon. Okay, it's kind of been a while. It is January 11th at this point, and I have been moving all week last week. It was just nonstop back and forth between houses, unpacking, doing this, doing that. I was having a hard time listening to anything, so I didn't really, which was kind of a bummer because I had a lot of opportunity to while I was doing all that, and I didn't want to. I was having a hard time focusing. So right now I'm at 8 books, so I'm a little behind. I just downloaded a couple more graphic novels off of my library apps, and so I'm hoping to catch up a little bit. But also, as of 2 days ago, Yeah, today's Monday. As of 2 days ago, I've started having symptoms of being sick and possible COVID, so I'm going to get tested tomorrow. So that has not helped with my focus. I've been really sleepy, and I don't feel like super sick. My main thing that's making me feel like I may have COVID is that I can't smell anything, and it's really weird. Like, I didn't even notice until like I went to smell my laundry, and then I was like, I can't smell this. And then I was like, wait, last night I couldn't smell my candle. I thought it was just like something funky happening. And then I started trying to smell things and like I couldn't smell anything. So it's very odd. Anyways, so I have 5 books, I believe, since last time I talked to you that I just want to catch up on. And I'm hoping that now that we're slightly more settled, still not fully settled, but we're getting there, that I will be able to update a little bit more like every 2 to 3 days. So let me think back. The Test by Sylvan Newell was a short audiobook I did finish, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. It went certain ways, and it was very thought-provoking and interesting, and I enjoyed that one. I also finished 1922 by Stephen King, which I think I was talking about last time. I gave this one 4 stars as well. It definitely went a different direction at the end. I was surprised, and so I really enjoyed that. I enjoy King's writing in certain ways. Like, he has a really nice writing style, but there was a point where I was like, this is really dense, and I feel like this is taking a really long time considering it's a short book. I always feel like that at a certain point with his books, which is always kind of a bummer. But overall, like, the story was interesting. It took some turns I wasn't expecting. I really felt the story and felt like I could imagine this place in my mind, this farm, and all the rats. And it was a little bit gross and gory at moments, but it wasn't like over the top. I did a couple of graphic novels. One was this Seance Tea Party by Raymena Yee, and I really enjoy like the art style in here. It was really beautiful. The characters were great. It's about growing up and not really wanting to, at least at first, feeling like you're at a place because everybody else is kind of growing up and moving on to kind of that preteen, teen stage, and she's just like, I still want to be a kid. I'm not ready. And I'm scared. But then also we have our imaginary friend who's a ghost, and we follow her, and I really enjoyed that piece of it too, because she's like, grow old because you're lucky that you can. And that was something I really took from this was, you know, there was an older lady and she's like, no, be happy that you grew old, that you got to this point, because I never could. And I thought that was powerful and sweet, and it's just, yeah, it was a beautiful graphic novel. I know it would be great for younger kids, but I also really enjoyed it too. So this one was a 4-star for me. The other graphic novel I read was Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera, and I really liked this one as well. I'm giving out a lot of 4 stars. I'm pretty sure this one was 4-star too. So this one, she's like going to meet like her idol who wrote this book about feminist agenda and stuff like that, and realizes that she is not as strong of a leader as she comes off to be, as far as with race and gender styles and just different stuff. And so it really delves into some of that and talks a lot about that, and I really appreciated that. And she finds some good friends there, and there's just some good conversations around that, but also around her finding herself and coming out to her family, who isn't fully coming around to the idea easily. But yeah, it was a very well told coming of age type story.
Hello, everybody. So I'm obviously coming to you with a face mask on. I figured I have 10 to 15 minutes here, and I would just chit-chat with you really fast. It is January 13th now. I am finally feeling more normal. I think that my brain is starting to work. I feel like life's starting to get a little more normal. We're mostly moved in. School's gonna get started next week, so we just opened up all of our study stuff. So I started studying today and kind of getting back into that. It actually felt like listening to stuff. For whatever reason, when I was sick, I did not want to listen to audiobooks or BookTube. for whatever reason. So I started watching some of my booktube videos that I haven't watched from all the creators I love. And what else did I do? I started trying to listen to an audiobook, but everybody kept talking to me and I did not get anywhere with it. I have completed 11 books so far, so I'm a couple books behind. But I have 4 books that I haven't talked to you guys about that I'm going to do so right now. So the one that I forgot about the other day was I read Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And that one I think I gave, scared me. Yeah. So that one I gave 4 stars. And this one is basically told in letters between the spouses of 2 people who are having an affair together. And they kind of become friends and help each other through it, and, basically how they decide to handle the affair and their futures and just that kind of a thing. And I thought it was very, a good insight and look into how that actually would feel, and, that it's not just like, oh, you had an affair and I'm done with you and I can't even imagine, but that there's a lot more things that go into you've had a life with this person, and, there's a lot more feelings that happen with all of that. And then, what else? Be Free, which was also by Gabby Rivera. So I've been enjoying her graphic novels and I'm intrigued. This one was like pretty short. It was 20-something pages, and I'm very interested in getting to the next one. It kind of left with a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I'm intrigued. Basically, this is the world, like, I don't know, it was like 30 years from here now, 100 years from now, and Florida is like broken into like 8 different islands, and things have definitely drastically changed in the world. Her dad keeps telling her to be a good girl, and she's like, so basically just keep my mouth shut? And she's like, why does that make me a good girl? And she wants to start this radio program where she just talks about everything and anything. And I just, I'm definitely loving her spunky attitude for sure. I think I gave this one 4 stars as well. And then I also read volume 1 of Heavy Vinyl, which is I think like 4 chapters or issues or whatever you want to call it of this graphic novel, and this one's really cute. I guess it was different than I was thinking. Like I knew it had a bunch of females and they worked at like a vinyl record store, but they also like fight crime and have a fight club, so it's kind of different and fun. I definitely like all the girls. They're very different and quirky, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go. It's cute, but I did only give this one a 3-star. I feel like it needed maybe a little more substance than I really got in the 100 pages. Like I feel like it could have had more. And last book to talk about, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. By the end of this one, I just was over it. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about the story arc. Like I was just like, what is the point? I don't know. I'm just not feeling this. And I was just kind of like trying to speed read through the rest of it so I could finish it. And I gave this one a 2-star. I don't know the point of the story at all. And I didn't feel like I liked the characters or disliked the characters. Like I just felt like very meh about the whole thing. I think it was more of just like it wasn't for me than necessarily it was a bad book. I think it just didn't hit me. Like the writing just didn't get me, or the story or something. It just wasn't my preference. So yeah, that's where we're at with reading. And then I think I want to pick up In the Dream House. And this one's by Carmen Maria Machado. Heard really good things about this. It's rated like a 4.5 or something on Goodreads. I think the main thing that's holding me back from this one is it's nonfiction. I am not a super memoir reader person, so I don't know, but there's something about this one just said I want to read it. So, and this one actually works for the Buzzwordathon word for this month, which is dream. So I'm going to be able to kick that in there as well. I think we're probably getting close to getting this off, and so I'm going to go, and I will talk to you guys soon. It is January 17th,
And I have a couple books I can update you guys on. Sorry if there's some background noise. Obviously, it's the weekend. It is Sunday, and my family's here, and we're all here because me and my husband's test results came back, and we were positive for COVID. So we are quarantining at the moment, and we're almost done with it. On Tuesday, we can be back in the world again. So that's going to be really, really wonderful because, it's been quite a while. So I've kind of had a weird week with my reading. I have wanted to start get back into it. I have started reading a little bit, but I'm also behind on things because I have been sick and there's just been a lot going on with me moving and stuff. My reading's just been a little disjointed. I haven't really fully gotten back into wanting to read as much as I was. I also don't know if it's this challenge. I've been really just wanting to pick up a regular sized novel or a longer novel, and I've been tempted to because I'm at least I'll be reading something, but I'm also just really want to catch up on all of my booktube stuff. I just finished pretty much all the unpacking and hung up some stuff on the walls, and so I'm pretty caught up in that, but we still need to go clean the other place, and so there's just a lot of tasks that I'm trying to complete, and then when things are complete, then I can feel okay about relaxing and reading. Otherwise, I can start to feel guilty sometimes about some of that stuff. My weird brain and the way I kind of organize things. And then next week I'm also starting school, so I've had to start studying now because the content we have to have already kind of know what we're talking about by the time the first day of class comes around. Whatever topic we're talking about, we should have already read the chapters and watched the videos or whatever they have going with it. So it just, I don't know. Reading's going okay. So let me just get into this. Before I get into what I have finished in the last few days, I wanted to go back and talk a little bit more about Juliet Takes a Breath, the graphic novel. I feel like I just was super disjointed with when I talked about it before. I want this book to be a book that people are interested in because I do feel like it talks about a lot of things that are really good to have in the community. And so I actually pulled it up on my laptop here so I can give you guys a better synopsis and talk a little bit better about this because, I was kind of a mess, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to put that in here because my brain was still mush. Juliet Milagros Palante is leaving the Bronx and headed to Portland, Oregon. She just came out to her family and isn't sure if her mom will ever speak to her again, but don't worry, Juliet has something kind of resembling a plan that'll help her figure out what it means to be Puerto Rican, lesbian, and out. See, she's going to intern with Harlow Brisbane, her favorite feminist author, someone whose the last work on feminism, self-love, and lots of other things that will help Juliet find her ever-elusive epiphany. There's just one problem. Harlow's white, not from the Bronx, and doesn't have the answers. Okay, maybe that's more than one problem, but Juliet never said it was a perfect plan. And it says it's an unforgettable, queer, coming-of-age story exploring race, identity, and what it means to be true to your amazing self. That's a little bit better of a synopsis and talking about what this book, represents, and I hope that is much clearer than whatever the heck I was saying before. And let's move on to the other books that I read. So I finished The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. So I ended up giving this one a 3-star. So this book is basically about this girl growing up in Chicago in a very Latino section of the city, and I think it's based in the 70s. And it's just a very real life look at what that would be and all the different types of people that you could meet there and different situations that they're in, and about this girl who could, make a difference. And she's just a kid in this book, but, she wants to leave so that she can come back and help this area that, is full of impoverished Americans that are, people of color, and there's just, a lot of harsh realities in this neighborhood, unfortunately. And I thought it was really interesting, like the look through the kids' lens that the author really took with this. She just made it seem like, like, oh, we're getting into this really cool new car that my friend's cousin got, and everybody wants to take this ride around the block in it. And then all of a sudden they hear sirens, and then cousin's like, everybody get out. And then there's like a high speed chase, but they don't fully understand that, hey, this cousin stole that car, and they don't fully grasp that because they're kids, and they do to a point, but just like the way she kind of writes it, there's so much nuance. Like things that you think when you're a kid, like you just don't think that way when you're an adult anymore. So yeah, there were parts of this that I really enjoyed, and other parts I just was like, this isn't super entertaining to me. I don't know. Like maybe I'm not the right market for it. I guess that's why it fell in the middle. I also finished The Patient by Jasper DeWitt, and I flew through this in one night. My husband was very annoyed because I was staying up to finish it, because I was like, I only have like 50 pages left, and then we kept getting interrupted. My daughter came in, she woke up in the middle of the night, and then the animals were being annoying, and he was just like, oh my gosh. All I can hear is your pages turning. And anyways, this was like very fast-paced and also at moments scary. Like I was like, I don't really get too freaked out or scared from books, but this one got me in a couple moments, and I remember thinking like, is this actually scaring me? Like, okay. So this is about, we're following a doctor, a psychiatrist, and he's basically doing this in like a blog post type of a thing where he's telling the story of when he started working at the Connecticut asylum, and he works with this patient, Joe, who is basically a live-in patient there that's been there for like 20, 30 years, like some ridiculously long time. And he's been written off as incurable, and anyone that like goes in his room can't be in there for too long, otherwise they like go crazy, and there's a very limited amount of people who are allowed to go in his room, and it's just weird. And he's like this new doctor, hotshot. He's like, I know everything. I can, go in there and cure this guy. And there's a lot of just psychological stuff in here where you're just like, wait, is the patient crazy? What's going on with him? But then like, what's going on with the doctor? Maybe he's just crazy, or maybe he's not seeing this, and you're just, very much questioning a lot of things. I ended up giving this one a 4-star. I definitely really enjoyed the perspective, how fast I was going through this. I don't know if I loved the ending. I didn't hate it. I just didn't totally love it. So I don't know if it was maybe the way it was explained or something. I was still thinking about it, so that's positive. I think it was close to a 5, but still hitting in the 4. So that's all I finished so far. I think I'm at like 13 books, and when I say it's the 17th, so I'm a little behind, but I also have just started several books. I think I've started like 3 books now. And I haven't really gotten into my audiobook game. I think I told you last time I started In the Dream House. I've read a little bit more. I'm on page 46 in here. This one really could go pretty fast. Like some of the pages are not even full pages. Like they're little half pages, and they're just like little different stories within each one. I'm enjoying it so far, especially since I'm not a big nonfiction memoir type person. I will tell more about this when I get a little farther. I also started, sorry about my weird bookmarks. I couldn't find any of my bookmarks, and so I have like all these random things stuffed in there. But I am on page 54 of The Deep by Rivers Solomon. This one is like 150 pages, so it's going pretty well. It's definitely different and interesting. It's about these women who were pregnant on this ship, and they were basically being shipped over to, I believe, the US to be slaves, and they were thrown overboard while they were pregnant, and then they had babies, and now there's the, oh gosh, what Wahiji what's the name? Wajinru that live in the deep of the ocean. And it's such a painful thing for them to remember everything that happened in this time that they have a historian who remembers everything for them. And then once a year, this historian goes and does the remembrance and helps them all remember. And then they slowly forget over a few days, but it helps them like know who they are. And they just need that every year. And then I mentioned that I was really kind of craving reading a normal-sized novel. So I was like, well, what if I picked up a middle grade that's a little bit more normal-sized in that like 300-page range-ish? Because that should be a little bit faster to go through because the writing should be a little bit more simplistic and maybe I can get through that a little quicker. So I started reading. I honestly never had this many books going. Like this is like, none of those are even audiobooks. So that's like a whole nother thing that I hopefully will be starting some audiobooks soon. So it's called The Girl Who Speaks Bear, and it's by Sophie Anderson. And I am enjoying it so far. It definitely has some fun magical elements to it. Basically, we have a foster mom who finds this girl when she's like 2 years old outside this cave in the forest and adopts her and takes her in, and she doesn't know who her actual family was or anything, but they have this guy who comes and visits and gets herbal remedies from her mom, and he always tells her these like crazy tales that happen in the forest that are magical. And I know in the synopsis it says that like she ends up waking up with like bear legs one day, and so that's kind of where I think this is going to go. But everybody in town calls her Yonka the bear because she has super strong strength and she's like growing like crazy. She's like 12 years old, and during this winter she's gone through like 3 pairs of ice skates because she's just grown out of them. So we'll see how that one goes, but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not too far into it. I think I've read the first like 2 chapters. It's like maybe 20 pages. I will update you guys more soon. Probably more often than this because this was kind of a long one. But hello, lovely friends. I think it's like January 20th. Pretty sure. It's a Wednesday. Yeah, that should give you at least somewhat of some context here. I think I just finished my 15th book, so I'm slightly behind, but I'm definitely getting way into the reading mood lately, and I'm starting to really move through some books and such. So I have 2 more books to update you guys on today. I finished The Deep by Rivers Solomon, and I'm giving that one a 4-star. It was so close to a 5-star. I really enjoyed it, and I just felt like the messages in there were just really well done and really deep, and I feel like there's like a hair. So there's just such a deep message with like past trauma, like not even to yourself, but your culture, or race or whatever it was, and how like holding on to that can be so painful and hard and just take away from being able to function as a person. And at the same time, you still can't just completely negate it and push it out of your life. You need to share it and, you know, make it be a part of who you are, but not all of who you are. I don't know if I'm fully explaining it, but the book just did such a beautiful job, and just, yeah, very much loved it. And I want to read more from Rivers Solomon as well. The author was dead on with this book, so very much enjoyed. And then I also literally just finished the audiobook for Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire, and this is the 3rd book in the Wayward Children series. So I've been enjoying these books, but I think this one's been my favorite. Like, I was really enjoying it through the whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I hope it ends well, because I think this one might be my first 5-star in the series. The other 2 were 4 stars for me, and it totally was. I I loved the Candyland. We went to Sumi's World, which is confection, and just everything's like baked in candy, and like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. And I loved the little like adventure journey. I really think that this is not a confirmed thing yet, but I believe that I really like the actual like adventure plot, or like where you're traveling through maybe some different lands or different quests or something. I tend to like those books. Like the Ember and the Ashes series, I'm pretty sure the second one's my favorite, and they're traveling across the entire like empire in that one. So that could have played into it a little bit more, but we got to see some of the other characters from the first book come back, like Kate and Nancy, and definitely very much enjoyed that. If you enjoy like a good, fun, fantastical, and lyrical type book where you're like going into different worlds, like basically all these kids open doors and they find doors into these other worlds that they seem to fit better into, and a lot of them end up back in our world for whatever reason, and they end up at this home because nobody understands and they think that they're delusional and that this home could help them, but really just all of them want to find their doors back to their other world and their home, basically. So we follow different characters in each of the books and kind of get to see some of the different worlds and the home as well that they go to, the school. So it's, yeah, they're just fun little short novella books, and I am hoping I can finish book 4 and 5 this month, because then I will be caught up except for the one that came out this month, and that would be awesome. But I need to at least read 2 sequel books, so at least one more. I'm trying to read at least 2 sequels of series that I've already started each month, so that is the goal. And what else do I have for you guys? I should be able to tell you guys my final thoughts on In the Dream House probably tomorrow, definitely by the next update, whenever that is, because I am almost done with this sucker. I'm on page 187, and it is 240 pages, and I am thoroughly, I don't want to say enjoying it, because this book is about an abusive relationship, but it is very powerful, and the writing is very unique and different, and like the way it's told, and I'm enjoying it, if you get what I mean. And then I did pick up a couple more books from the library. So figured I'd share real quick some things that are coming up. So I got a graphic novel of a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe's work, so that's kind of fun. And I also got a graphic novel of The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. I read Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson in 2020, and I really loved it. It was one of my favorite books of the year, so I wanted to read more by her, and I saw that this came in like graphic novel form, and I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know if I like love the art style. It's not like my favorite, but hopefully the story will be good and cool. I actually ended up getting a lot of kind of horror stuff, so both those are more horror related, I believe. I actually don't really know what The Lottery's about, to be quite honest. I also picked up Small Spaces by Catherine Arden, and this is a middle grade, and it is a horror novel as well. This girl like goes to, she's at the river and she sees this lady like throwing this book in the river. She ends up stealing it, and it's about this smiley guy who like will grant your wishes, but you end up dying somehow or something. And then she goes to this farm, and there's the woman, she runs the farm, and there's all these graves of like kids that tried to make these wishes with the smiley guy or something. So it's kind of creepy. And then I also got A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and this may sound and look maybe a little bit like a horror novel, but I've heard that it is like really hard-hitting about grief and how you can handle it. And that's kind of the undertone of it, but it's basically about this monster who goes to this boy's window every night, and I don't know, something to that extent. I will tell you more when I've actually read it, but I've heard that everybody just dies when they read this and just bawls their eyes out, so we will see how that goes. So that's things to look forward for you guys, and I will talk to you guys very soon. All right, guys, I'm back really quickly. It is only the 21st, so I literally just talked to you guys last night, and now it's bright and early in the morning the next day, and I finished 3 books last night, so we are catching up. It's the 21st, and I think I'm at 18 books, so we're getting closer, so I'm excited. I also read more of The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson, and I'm about not quite a third. I'm like a little over a quarter of the way through that one. So, making some progress there as well. But last night I did finish In the Dream House, and this book is a really wonderful exploration of an abusive relationship and how you can feel stuck in one and how it can look like so many different things. It's not just like a guy beating up a woman, but there's psychological abuse and how nobody seems to get in trouble with the law when it's psychological. Like, how do you prove that? And sometimes people just don't believe you. Also, like, our author is bisexual, and she says lesbian a lot in here, but she also talks about being with men and women. So I don't know if she considers herself to be lesbian or bisexual. So I am not 100% sure on that. I know that at the end she explained that she said lesbian a lot because a lot of the studies and stuff that she talked about in here were specifically to that demographic and talked about that. So she also does say queer person. So maybe we'll just say she is a queer person. So the relationship we are following is one where she had a relationship with another woman who was abusing her. And it just is told in such a unique way. I have never really read a memoir, I don't think, but I did feel like it's something that maybe I would read more of. I don't think I'll read a ton because it's just not my favorite thing to read, but I can appreciate it for what it was. I gave it 5 stars just because I feel weird, like, rating a memoir in somebody's life and reading them. Like, why am I rating them? I don't know. So we just put it there. So because it wasn't like awful or bad. Like I don't know. It's weird to say enjoy my experience reading this because it's not an enjoyable topic, but you guys get what I mean. And then I did go ahead and finish the 2 graphic novels that I had picked up from the library. So we did The Graphic Classics by Edgar Allan Poe. It's just a bunch of his works, but they're worked into kind of comics and graphic novel style pictures and stuff. So I wanted to kind of delve more into Poe's work. I remember when I was in junior high reading The Telltale Heart, and like it's still stuck with me this many years later. I still kind of remember it, but the way they told it in here was different. So I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong or maybe like we read something different. I don't know. It was a little bit different in here, but still kind of the same concept, and I still very much enjoyed that one. So there were some stories in here that I really enjoyed. Other ones that I was kind of like, meh. I am not a big poetry fan, so they did have some of his poetry in here, which is very beautiful. Like, he writes really nicely, but just isn't my favorite. So I think I threw this one at a 3-star. I also just wasn't a super big fan of the art style in some of them. And that kind of thing. But I think that it's really nice as far as giving you like an easy way to consume a classic writer like Poe. So there's apparently like 27 of these on a whole bunch of different classic writers. So maybe I'll pick up another one. I don't know. And then I finished The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. And this one, I think I gave 3 stars as well. So like this page, there's literally no writing. You're just following a bunch of pictures, which I mean is okay somewhat, but there just wasn't a lot of talking in here. There's a lot of pictures. I didn't totally love the art style. Like, it's just not my favorite. The story, like, I feel like I would have enjoyed the story a lot more if I just read The Lottery. So I may still end up doing that, because I feel like I just would have gotten more from it. Shirley Jackson has this way of writing in which you're just kind of going along with the story, you're not totally sure where it's going or what to think, and then at the end you just are like, wait, what? And then you like think on it for a little while after, and then you're just like, there's a lot of underlying themes you're throwing in there, and definitely like this one has a lesson to be talked about just going along with societal traditions or norms because that's what's always been done. But not that it necessarily is the right thing to do. So it was interesting. I definitely think I would enjoy it more in actual bookish form. So maybe we'll pick that up eventually. That's my update for you guys for today. All right, guys, I am on a roll right now. It is the 22nd. I'm updating you guys again. I finished 2 books yesterday. Yeah, 2 books. I was like, wait, is there only 1? It's 2. Okay, so the first one, when I originally was making this list, I did not realize how short this book was until I made my list for this video. And it is only 3 pages. So I know some people wouldn't really consider this a book, but why not? So yeah, I read a 3-page book. I'm pretty sure that will end up being my shortest book of the year. So this one I ended up giving 4 stars. It is The Egg by Andy Weir, and it is a short little sci-fi novella, short story. I don't even know what you want to call it for 3 pages, but you know. Anyways, it is about this guy who, it's hard because it's only 3 pages, so I don't want to like give too much away. Basically, he dies and then he wakes up in this place with this guy and they have a very interesting conversation. It's something you definitely think about for a while after you read it and you're just like, okay. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. But what if it did happen? And what, you just kind of go down like a little bit of a rabbit hole afterwards. Even after it's literally a 3-page book, but it can really get you thinking. So yeah. I guess the only reason I gave it 4 stars was because it was so short that I wasn't as emotionally invested in the characters, the story or anything. So it's not like mind-blowingly my favorite story ever, but it definitely like packed a punch for 3 pages. I will give it that. I would suggest picking it up. I honestly found it online on a website, so it's free, it's out there. I will put the link down below, honestly, if you guys want to go check it out. But I know I got this recommendation from Emily, and I also just got the audiobook. I haven't started it, of To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, and these are a couple books that she talks about pretty frequently, so I'm excited to read a couple of her recommendations and see, if we have similar vibes going on. The other book that I read was Long Way Down, the graphic novel by Jason Reynolds. I have listened to the audiobook of this book, and they recently made it into this graphic novel. You guys, the graphic novel is so good. It was 5 stars, 100%. Like, the way that it is drawn and like it just makes you experience and feel the story so much more. Like, I loved this book. It was amazing. If you guys haven't heard about this or you haven't heard me talk about it, it's basically about this neighborhood in which all these kids have 3 rules. 1 is no crying, 2 is no snitching, and the 3rd rule is get revenge. And basically, so if like somebody gets shot, you should get revenge and shoot whoever shot them, and you can't snitch to the cops, and there's no crying about it. And so our main character, Will, his brother Sean, ends up getting shot and killed, and he thinks he knows who did it, and he's gonna go out and kill whoever killed his brother. So he gets on the elevator, and basically this spans only a minute of time, and each floor he stops on, somebody gets on from his past that has died from this gun violence, and it is powerful and hard-hitting and really makes you think about like how thinking can happen like this and how it can really just wipe people out. Like, oh man, it is just beautiful and powerful. So I absolutely loved it, and I just, wanted to get on and recommend this to you guys, and I will update you guys very soon with more reading. I really, really am feeling good about catching up. It's the 22nd, I have all day still to finish reading a book today, but I am at 20 books, so I am only like 1 or 2 books behind, because technically today is not over, so I could still read a book today, and then we'd only be a book behind. So yeah, I'm doing really good, and I've got so many books. Oh my gosh, here we go rambling. I was trying to make this short and concise because I know this video is going to be like massively long, but I finally got Watch Over Me from my library. It's a new book that they were waiting to come in because they had ordered it. Oh, I'm so excited for this book. So yes, this is my next exciting read. Hey guys, I haven't updated you guys for a little bit, so it is the 26th. Been meaning to get on and say hey for a couple days because guess what? I have caught up. As of last night, I had read 25 books and it was the 25th, so I'm doing good and I'm really excited about that. So I'm hoping that I can at least hit the 31 books in 31 days goal that I had set, and maybe I can even get to a little bit more. I'm moving through books pretty quickly at the moment, so I'm excited about that. Okay, so I believe the last book that we talked about was the Long Way Down graphic novel, and since then I have finished In an Absent Dream, which is number 4 in the Wayward Children series. I'm really excited because number 5 just came through today, so I'm gonna keep going. I've been really enjoying reading this series this month, and it's making me realize that I enjoy reading my series a little bit closer together than I have been. I kind of was trying to space them out a little bit to see if I could just enjoy them for longer, but then I just wasn't getting back to my series. I'm just starting a new series, so maybe I do need to binge a little bit more on my series. But I gave this one a 4-star. I really enjoyed following Lundy's story and her experience in the Goblin Market. Definitely a very interesting and different world, and so I really liked that. And my heart broke a little bit for Lundy at the end there. So that was a really good one. 4 stars on that one. I also finished The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. And I definitely think that I'm enjoying the fantasy side of middle grade more than more the contemporary side of it. I feel like when I'm reading something more of a contemporary with middle grade, it's just not, it doesn't hit me the same because I'm not in that age group, versus a fantasy is just kind of fantastical and fun and light. So I definitely enjoyed this story quite a bit. I liked the kind of folklore it would tell little stories throughout, and so that was really fun. And yeah, so I think the main reason that I gave it 4 stars versus 5 was just because it was a little bit towards the end. I was like, okay, it's getting a little long. I'm ready for us to wrap it up, and it took a little while, but I really enjoyed the character work in here. Yonka was really great, but she also kind of made her own little found family, so that's a good trope in this one. And each of the characters was just very unique, and her pet weasel had such character, and she just kept doubting. She really had to find her in herself that she can let other people help her, which I think is a huge thing. I know that sometimes it's so hard to ask for help when you need help, or to accept help even when it's being given to you, and just accept a helping hand. It can't hurt. But she's always oh, you're just such a small weasel, how are you going to do this or that? And then he would just blow her out of the water with his crazy skills. So anyways, very much enjoyed that. And then I did also read To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. So this one is a sci-fi audiobook that I read, and it basically, this crew goes and in 30 years they make it out to these other planets, and then they wake up from they don't cryogenic sleep in the book, but basically they wake up and they have 10 years in which they're supposed to go to these different planets, and they're just observing. It's not to go live there or anything. They just want to learn more about about the universe, and then they're sending their information back, and then they're supposed to make it back. And so I think the most interesting part for me was just like all the little tidbits that she came up with, like, oh, it's not just like you don't age at all during that 30 years. I still aged like 2 years when I woke up, and their hair still grew, so they had to like clean themselves up, and she thought through a lot of things that maybe are glossed over a little bit more, which I really appreciated. We had some really good vivid imagery of these different islands and different planets and what you might see and how they would be different. And also they would get these news bundles each month, and it would just talk about where the Earth's at now and what's going on in politics in the world and just different news stuff. And so I thought that was kind of fun for her to be like thinking about like what's fashion going to be like 30 years later, and what things are going to be different, and what's like I don't know. So I really enjoyed all of the thought that she really put into this book. So I gave that one 4 stars, and definitely want to read more from her. And then I finally finished Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I blew through this one actually really fast. I started it one night and I read, I don't know, like 70 or 80 pages, and then the next night I just finished it. I was like, staying up, I'm getting this done. It was a pretty quick read, to be quite honest. I was moving through it really fast, and this one was 5 stars. If I didn't already say that, I loved it. I love Nina LaCour's writing. She just writes so beautifully, and she does these contemporary stories that just take harder concepts and topics and just, I don't know, she just turns them into these beautiful stories of working through those problems and finding people and friends that you can rely on and love. And it was really sweet. So 5 stars on that one for sure. And the last book I will be talking about is Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. And this is a duology, and they're both pretty short books, so I'm probably going to finish the second book here in the next couple days. This one I gave 3 stars. I'm hoping like maybe the second book will turn it around. I just felt like there wasn't a ton of plot to it. It was very, I don't know, atmospheric, fantastical type of a thing. I haven't read Lord of the Rings, and I've only sort of watched the movies, but for some reason it just really like made me think of that. Like, you're in the woods, there's dryads and other like kind of fantastical beings out there, and we're following Tobias and Silver, and Tobias is like the man of the woods kind of a thing, and Silver's very intrigued by him and comes and visits him and kind of brings him out of his shell, because he mainly has just been by himself for 400 years, just living out in this cabin. And it just kind of their story and I don't know. I don't fully know how to explain this story, because I don't know that I fully understood and got all of the nuances, and I may have just lost some of it in the audiobook. I don't know. But I definitely would notice like sometimes during the audiobook I would just be spacing out and be like, oh wait, what's going on? Pay attention. So that's probably part of my problem right now. So that one was just okay. Okay, so I am going to finish this little update. I'm probably only going to do like 1 or 2 more, because I know this vlog is going to be super long, and it's almost the end of the month anyways, but I'm really, really hopeful that I will reach my goal, and I will talk to you guys soon. Well, hello friends. It is January 29th, so we are getting to the end of this video experiment thing that we're going on with, and I have a few more books to update you guys on. As of last night, I was at 28 books on the 28th. So I have 3 books to talk to you guys about today, and then the next time I talk to you, I probably will be wrapping up any of the last books I was reading and just kind of wrapping this whole thing up, giving my thoughts on what I might have learned this month about reading this way and what I think of short stories, and just, whatever, to, talk about how this vlog actually went. I definitely have quite a few thoughts, but I'm waiting to finish. I also am probably going to look through. I was thinking I could kind of narrow some of these down to maybe a few of the ones that were kind of my favorites that I would definitely pull out from this month. So, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. let's talk about what I've read so far. So the 5th installment of the Wayward Children series came through on my Libby app. So I did finish. Oh, this cat is driving me crazy. Look at her. She's being a nut and will not leave me alone. Yeah, you being a crazy. She keeps bumping into the camera. She wants to be all meowing and in my face. Stop it. I'll give you love in a minute. Okay, so what was I saying? 5th installment. So yeah, this one's called, so the 5th one's called Come Tumbling Down, and this one follows Jack and Jill again. So I kind of enjoy the fact that there's some continuity in a few of these where we're kind of following Jack and Jill. They're in the first and second one, and then we're back in the moors in this one. But they're not like my favorite books out of the series. So I really enjoy one of the characters. I'm assuming you can probably guess from the fact that the third one, Beneath the Sugar Sky, is my favorite. I really, really, really love Suki. She's like my favorite. I think she's adorably cute and fun, and I love the way she talks, and she's fun. Love the nonsensicalness of her. So this one was a 4-star for me as well. So pretty much all of them have been 4 stars, except for the third one was definitely a 5-star for me. That's my favorite so far out of the series. Number 6 just came out this month, and it's not in my library app yet, so we'll have to wait to get to that one. So what else did I read? Last night I finished 2 books, actually. I finished up I Am Legend. I had like a quarter of it left, and this one was a 3-star for me. I don't remember it really being like the movie, but I don't really remember enjoying the movie either. I just was like, maybe I'll enjoy the book more because a lot of people have enjoyed it, and I just thought maybe that would be a thing. Oh gosh, cat's back again. It really wasn't for me. Like, it's very like character build driven. The plot at the end, like, definitely went a different direction than I was expecting, in a good way. I really didn't actually enjoy the end and the plot twist. It just felt like a little slow for a 150-page book in certain parts, and you're just kind of you're mainly following one guy as he's just trying to survive this vampire takeover of the world, pretty much, from like a bacteria or something. Like, everybody's turning into vampires. It just like was like, okay, I know too much about this guy and how he's dealing with this, and it was just weird. I will say though, like, this book is older than I realized it was, but it doesn't read super old classic style or anything. So I did appreciate that, and I did appreciate the ending. Like, the ending was well constructed, well thought out, really makes you think, and I really enjoyed like the last 20%. It just was a little slow to get there for me. I mean, I guess it was a good build up. You kind of knew what was going on, but yeah, I don't know. So that one ended up at like 3 stars for me. And then last night I started and finished A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Literally everybody says that this book breaks them and they are bawling, and I was like, it's probably going to happen to me, but I also don't cry to a lot of books. I think I cried to maybe 2 books last year. So I was like, let's see how this goes. I figured it would be a beautiful story and that I would enjoy it. But yeah, I definitely was crying for a good chunk of this book at the end there. And then when I thought maybe I was done crying and we were okay, no, it just sucker punched me again. And I was bawling all over again. But it was so beautifully told. It was a beautiful story, a beautiful book. I really liked this edition with some of the art style in here. And yeah, it was gorgeous. I think this may be my favorite book of the entire month. I'll have to look back and make sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, this one's got an impact. I know I'm going to remember it. It was just beautifully told. So basically it just says that this monster shows up every night at midnight, and Connor, our main character, is expecting a different monster from his nightmare, and this monster is different and ancient and expects something from Connor that he is scared of and not ready for, and that is the truth. I highly recommend reading this book. It was great. Wonderful, awesome. So yeah, those are the 3 books. Oh, 5 stars on that one for sure. Those are the 3 books I finished in the last few days. So I will keep you guys updated. I've got a few books over here to work through, and I'm listening to an audiobook right now, so we'll see how this all wraps up. I think I have like 6 books, 3 audios and 3 regular books that I have available to me at the moment for this vlog. So we will see what I actually end up finishing. I don't think I'm going to finish 6 books in the next few days, but I don't know. We're about to hit the weekend, so maybe. I guess it depends on how much school stuff I need to get done. So I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope you guys are having a good day. Well, here we are. It is February 1st in the morning, and I did it. I finished 31 books in 31 days. I am super excited that I actually hit this goal. In the middle there, I definitely was questioning it, and I didn't want this whole video and vlog to just be a bunch of graphic novels because I was constantly behind. So I'm really glad that I read way more actual novellas and short story books, and so I got to give you guys a little more insights there. And we hit 31 books like on the head. Last night I finished my last book. I really wanted to finish that book too. I was like dying to read it all day long, and I was like, no, you got to do this other stuff, and it was just sitting there staring at me. So I guess we'll talk about that book first. I've got 3 more books to update you guys on for the 31 books, and then I will just tell you a few of my highlight favorites for the month, and then we'll wrap this thing up so I can edit it and get it up to you guys in the next couple days. Okay. Last night I finished Small Spaces. This is by Katherine Arden, and it was super good. For middle grade, I'm still kind of getting into the genre, but like, this is the kind of book I want. And there's like 4 books in this series, so really fun. But it like brought out the inner kid in me, where I used to like really love to read like Nancy Drew and just kind of like mystery type novels, and I feel like this kind of had like a fun mystery to it. But it also was like a smidge horror. I mean, for middle grade, definitely. These like Scarecrow, the smiley guy, he makes deals with people, and then all of a sudden they're like disappeared, and yeah. So this one, how can I explain it? I don't know if I already did, but basically we have Ollie, who is our main character, and she goes to this spot. Sorry if you can hear my little vacuum guy. He's cleaning the floors right now. I'm gonna try and make sure I'm talking loud enough so you guys can just hear me. Anyways, so she likes to go to this spot by the river. It's like a little swimming hole, and it's fall, so not a lot of people go there. And one day she goes there on her way home from school, and there's this lady with a book, and she's crying, saying she needs to throw it into the river. And she's like, no, you can't throw this book in the river. She's like an avid reader, and so she ends up taking the book from the lady and like running back home, and then she's reading this book, and it's all about Smoke Hollow, this farm, and this guy, this smiley guy who made a deal with one of these brothers when he was like 100 years ago or something, to bring back the other brother. And whoop. Okay, Linus is just like, no, I'm gonna come over here and push all your stuff around and clean this floor right here. That's what we named our little Roomba robot dude here. Anyways, I don't know where I was at. Oh, she's reading this book, and the next day they're going on a field trip to a farm. He's gonna do it again. Linus. Sir. So they're taking this field trip to a farm called Misty Hollow, I think, or something like that. And like everything from this diary seems to be coming true. And she's like, it's like the ancestors' granddaughter owns this farm, is running it now. And yeah, it just gets crazy. Super fun. Really, really, really enjoyed. Apparently 9 o'clock when we have him set to go is not the time to have him going, or not the time to be filming, whatever. So the other books I read, I listened to Drowned Country by Emily Tesh. It's the second book in the Green Hollow duology. The first one was Silver in the Wood. I decided to actually bump both of these to only 2 stars. I just wasn't feeling them. I kept like spacing out while I was listening to them and being like, oh shoot, I need to be paying attention. So then I was like losing it. I think a big part of it was like she was trying to fit too many things into the plot. I felt like Emily Tesh was just trying to fit too many things into the plot, but it was a short story, and so then nothing really like fully developed and got to where it needed to go, because we were just kind of, oh, we're here, oh, we're there, oh, we're here. I don't know. Yeah, it didn't work for me. The other one that I read was The Haunting of Beatrix Green, episode 1. And this one was only like 25 pages. Our lease was up on one of our cars, so we were switching out cars and dealing with all that stuff. So I sat and just read it while we were doing that. So this one is about Beatrix Green, who is a medium, and she tries to contact the dead for other people and help them move on from their loved ones. And then we also have this other guy who is trying to debunk all the mediums, and things ensue from there. I don't want to give too much from this one because it is very short, and I'm kind of curious like how many episodes there's going to be. I really don't know very much about this or what more is coming of this, because I'm definitely interested. I mean, it left it at the end of this where it definitely leads into a lot more, so kind of wondering where this is going. But it was a fun little snippet and little intro to whatever they're going to do with this episode type series thing. So yeah, that was all of the rest of the 3 reads that I read. So I read 31 books in this month of January. So for some highlights for the month, I do have a few, but I just talked about Small Spaces. I really enjoyed this one. Long Way Down, such a great, impactful graphic novel. Oh my gosh, wonderful. I loved this. Monster Calls, beautiful story about grief and just had me bawling. I also liked the art in this one too. Here's like one of the pictures. I don't know if I showed you guys any of this. I think this one's probably one of my favorite pictures in the book. So they're all in like black and white, but they definitely are beautiful. Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. This was a really beautiful contemporary and just, you know, found family, finding yourself, dealing with some of your past traumas. So those were some of the books that I really enjoyed that I still have copies of. Earlier in the month, I also read In the Dream House, which is a beautiful memoir. I really liked that one. And then also Beneath a Sugar Sky, my favorite Wayward children's story so far. I can just imagine myself going back and listening to that one again. Definitely enjoyed that one quite a bit. So those are kind of my tops from the month, but I hope you guys had a really good January, and I imagine here soon I will come out with like recommendations for some good short stories with some of my favorites and just talking a little bit more about these, but stay tuned for that. Definitely subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and if you made it this far, let's do like some kind of owl emoji. I'm sure there's some kind of owl, right? If not, like a bird, some kind of bird. There we go. It's a little more broad. You guys can choose a little more options. A bird emoji of some kind. Okay, I will talk to you guys very soon, and you guys have a wonderful day and happy reading, and bye.